The St. Lawrence Seaway, a system of locks, canals, channels, and dams, which raises a ship 600 feet from the Atlantic Ocean to ply the waters of the Great Lakes, celebrated its 25th birthday in 1984. It was on June 26, 1959, when Great Britain's Queen Elizabeth and President Dwight Eisenhower met at the St. Lambert Lock in Montreal to officially open the new deep seaway.
It is a great personal privilege to be a part of the ceremony of the official opening and dedication of the St. Lawrence Seaway. This waterway, linking the oceans of the world with the Great Lakes of the American continent, is the culmination of the dreams of thousands of individuals on both sides of our common Canadian-United States border.
Mr. President, I am delighted that this occasion, which marks the inauguration of a great joint enterprise between our two countries, this distinguished company has come together from the two great countries that border this waterway to mark the completion of a combined operation that ranks as one of the outstanding engineering accomplishments of modern times.
Building the St. Lawrence Seaway was an awesome task. 5 years of monumental labor by some 20,000 Canadian and American workers. They placed more than 6 million cubic yards of concrete and excavated some 360 million tons of material. The resulting price tag was $1 billion for combined hydro and navigation facilities. The St. Lawrence Seaway provides cheap waterborne transportation for relatively low-value bulk cargoes moving between the United States and Canada. It makes possible the navigation of the St. Lawrence River from Montreal to Lake Ontario and by way of the Welland Canal to Lake Erie and the upper Great Lakes to the western shores of Lake Superior. Each year, thousands of ships from as many as 50 nations sail directly to and from the heart of North America over a 2,300-mile shipping lane. The St. Lawrence Seaway has greatly helped the cities of the Great Lakes become international seaports. It was an economic success to Canadian and American cities, but a disaster for the bypassed city of Buffalo, once billed as a grain milling center of the world.
The Port of Buffalo suffered initially because grain shipments were coming from the lakes to Buffalo and then on barges across, but I don't think in today's world the canal across New York was capable of handling the grain traffic that comes out of the lakes.
Buffalo lost its geographic advantage that it had because of the seaway, and I think we've been struggling here ever since that time. Certainly the port cargo has gone down dramatically.
Well, when they opened up the St. Lawrence Seaway, suddenly that's 20 miles or so west of Buffalo, and so the vessels would go into the Welland Canal and St. Lawrence Seaway and bypass Buffalo altogether. So Buffalo was no longer on a port of call, so to speak. And so it really hurt immediately in its grain business. And I think that Buffalo was not prepared for the impact of the seaway.
What are the major marketing problems facing Buffalo, and how can they be remedied?
I think the major marketing problems facing Buffalo are no different than facing other Great Lakes ports. I think it's going to take a major effort to not only from ourselves at the Seaway Corporation, but certainly federal participation. There's a lot of federal shipments of food, defense products that go out of all the ports. I think Buffalo ought to try to get its share there. I think we need the full backing of the county, the city government, and the state government to make viable a very important port city.
I was the sponsor in the Water Resource Subcommittee for this new initiative, and it would put together a very strong marketing arm, really for the first time. The Great Lakes has been competing among the ports themselves, and this would, along with the Seaway Authority and Commission, bring in many of the top agencies throughout the Great Lakes under one umbrella.
I think in the long run, the Seaway still could be an advantage to Buffalo because water transportation is still extremely economical. We're closer in Buffalo to most of the northern European ports than you are at the ports of Baltimore or Norfolk, Virginia. But I think that Buffalo has got to do its job of going out and marketing its port, and it's got to solicit and entice businesses to come into Buffalo that can take advantage of its proximity to Lake Erie and its proximity to the St. Lawrence Seaway and get involved in world trade.
So things may be looking a little brighter for the Port of Buffalo, hopefully?
Well, I think they are now. We're running about a 10% increase in shipments, as I pointed out this year. The Port of Buffalo is up 13% over last year, so I think we're going in the right direction.
I think we have to, first of all, have the facilities here, and for that, of course, we're trying to improve bulkheading on our port facility here. We have in the Water Resources Bill over $6 million for just that purpose. We're putting in an awful lot of money on the port, hopefully, and that will improve our competitiveness.
And if you're going to get involved in world commerce today, Buffalo and the St. Lawrence Seaway can be turned into a positive aspect. But we've got to go out and find that business. It's not going to find Buffalo.